Welcome to the Good Karma Sport Fishing Podcast. I'm your host, Captain Ryan Van Fleet. Super excited to announce the Good Karma Sport Fishing app. Now, a lot of guys found out about it on Sunday. I've already started to download the app. The app is available in the iTunes Play Store and the Google Play Store. So, the first phase, we're calling it Phase 1, is weather, fishing reports. I have several podcasts on there that you can catch up on. And I've got the standard stuff for my fishing charter clients, for people that are looking for a fishing charter, and weather buoys. I've also got some widgets in there for wind alert and all that good stuff. But we're continuing to work on the weather as far as Phase 1 goes. So before we move into Phase 2. Now, I can't tell you what Phase 2 is going to be, but it's going to be really cool. So as far as weather goes right now, we're in the process of adding weather buoys. So if you want to see your weather buoy on the Good Karma Sport Fishing app, then just email me at goodkarmaryan@gmail.com. Tell me what buoy you want to see, and I'll add it. As easy as that. Now, a lot of weather sites are starting to charge you guys, including myself, for locations down here in the Keys, like Alligator Light. Well, I put that on there for you guys, so you have it now. Molasses Reef Tower is down here, so Noah's still working on that tower, but you can still get a forecast, a 24-hour forecast. So just email me, tell me what towers you want to see, and I'll throw them up there for you, if it's possible. So, and you can be anywhere in the country and anywhere in the world, I believe. And we're also working on the tides and the wave height right now, so that should be ready here in maybe a week or so, maybe a couple weeks. It just depends. So this stuff, like I said, to do it right, it takes time. So just be patient. Things, I can't throw it all out there at once. So, but it's going to be really cool. Okay, so a really cool feature of the app is the fishing reports that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing those 2 to 3 days a week. Now, within the reports, I'm going to be talking about the current, okay? That is going to be in the report. So I know a lot of you guys, especially the bottom fishermen, you guys want to know what the current's doing between, like there's a depths in between like 65 foot out to 300 feet. So if I'm fishing within 300 feet, I'm going to tell you what the current's doing, whether it's going the north, the south, whether it's reversing. So because, like most of you guys know, it's a 2 to 3 day trend, and then I'll tell you when it reverses back. So that's going to be part of the fishing report. Today I had a north current at 0. So I had no current today. It was really just wind driven. So that's the kind of stuff I'm going to be talking about in the fishing report. Not just, I caught fish in 200 feet today, and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit more detail. I'll talk about the visibility of the water, what I'm seeing. So in other words, it just won't be your regular run-of-the-mill fishing report that you have to list, that's regurgitated every week on TV, and now on all these different fishing shows that are popping up, radio shows and stuff. So I'm just going to tell you like it is, and from my point of view. And like I said, I'm pretty blunt when it comes to that, but I am very honest. So very honest. So I'll let you guys know what's going on. And hopefully that'll fall into sync, whether it times into you guys going fishing or you just are addicted to listening to fishing reports. So there's a lot of guys that just want to listen to what's happening, and that's cool. So, and one thing that you could use the fishing reports for is, say from a year from now, you'll have a year's worth of data in there. Then you can go back and listen to my fishing report from last August and see what I did on this day, and just kind of use that as your log, what the current was doing, and you got yourself kind of a makeshift fishing log to know what the hell's going on. So, and then if you're just starting out, that's what I really encourage you guys to do. Now, I talked a little bit about this on Sunday, but I had the opportunity to meet Jose Wahabi before he passed. And I remember driving to Key West with Melinda. I was super excited to meet him, and because it was just, like, that guy has had a lot of influence in my life and a lot of influence in other fishermen's lives, and he's touched a lot of people and really helped motivate them. So, and he really motivated me, and I didn't even know the guy. So he just had that charismatic personality. So I wanted to meet him and I wanted to ask him a question. And I was like, Jose, how did you, when I met him, I had the opportunity, he was talking to everybody and he was doing his Jose's thing and he just smiled. It just was like very like charismatic, man. The guy was just, when you're around that guy, you just felt like there's something about him. Like he was just a cool dude. So when Melinda and I got him off to the side, I met him. I go, hey, Jose, I got one question for you. How did you learn all this shit? How did you learn it? He goes, you know what he said to me? And I asked him for one piece of advice. So that kind of tied in. He said, you got to start a logbook. And that's all he said. And then we went on and we had a beer together, and then that was it. And that's all he said. That was his only piece of advice. And he said it with a tone. And I still remember that tone. Like, he got really quiet, kind of. He said, you got to start a logbook. So he went from being very charismatic, and all of a sudden he goes, you got to start a logbook. And it just, like, stuck in my brain. And that's what I did. So if there's one piece of advice I tell people that are new to fishing and really want to, like, learn it, you got to start documenting stuff. It's hard, man. It's hard to pick up a pen and paper and document it. But there's so much technology out there, you can make it work. So I'm going to do my best to help you guys by creating these fishing reports through the app. So they're going to be easy for you to listen to. You don't have to sit down on your computer. You just pull up your phone. And then if you're like sitting on the couch at night and you're playing with your phone, which I do a lot, and you can just pull up, listen to my fishing report, play around on the app, and look at the weather and, start planning something. Start planning your fishing trip. So, like I said, I'm super excited about it. We have a lot of cool stuff planned for it. So, like I mentioned earlier, download the app. You can find it in the iTunes Store and the Google Play Store. We're still working out some kinks with it. We still got some things going on. It's, like I said, it's phase 1, but we're working them out. They should be worked out here soon. So yeah, it's going to be all good, guys. So let's move on to the fishing tip today. I want to revisit vermilion snappers and yellow eye snappers. Deep dropping. Now, I talked about this in the past about how I target vermilions. And a lot of guys would laugh at me about it, but I let them laugh because I catch a lot of vermilion snappers. And so what happens with vermilions is it's like when I was first learning how to target vermilions, all I would hear from the guys that have been doing it for years was, oh, those vermilion snappers, they get picky, they like to shut off. They like to quit biting. You go through them, they catch a few, they don't catch, they're not biting. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret, guys. So vermilion snappers are extremely line shy, okay? And if you're dropping down 5 to 6 to 10 hooks at once, yeah, you're going to get them. You may get them on one pass, but those fish will shut down. A lot of times those fish shut down, okay? And, everybody does it the same way over and over again. They just, drop all these, hook chicken rigs down with 10 hooks on them. So I've been doing it the same way for years, and I learned this from somebody who I'm not going to talk about, but I learned this from somebody who really knows what the fuck they're doing out there as far as the fishing goes when it comes to vermies. So this person is really good. So here it is. Light line. 50 pound is too heavy, okay? So think about, and if you don't think those fish can see down there, you guys are, that they can see, okay? They have very keen eyesight, vermies do. So if you're dropping down those makeshift heavy leader, that you buy at the store, chicken rigs for vermies, yeah, like I said, you might catch a few when they're really biting, but you're not going to catch them consistently, and you're not going to catch the big ones consistently all the time. So you guys all know about this one, ditch the swivels. Get rid of the swivels. They're shiny. The fish don't, sometimes, like I said, sometimes when they're really hungry, they'll eat them, but if you're using swivels, I highly recommend you get rid of them. Most of the really good charter boat captains down here don't use swivels as far as when they target vermies. Go with light line, okay? I use 40-pound fluorocarbon to 30-pound fluorocarbon. Okay? Sometimes 50 is too heavy for me. And how I've been catching these very large vermilion snappers is I'll go through, we'll catch a few on the chicken rigs, and all of a sudden they'll stop. And the next thing I do is I turn to my mutton snapper rigs. Okay? I'll say, okay, it's time to scale down the leader on the mutton snapper rigs and the hooks. And we go, so I'm using number 5 inline circle hooks, Gamakatsu, that's what I use. And when I target large vermilion snappers and large yellow eyes in the keys, I use one hook and I use a 30 to 40 foot leader. And I'm looking for big vermilion snappers, one at a time, because you can quickly do some damage on those fish. And if you're good at boat control, you can really rack those fish up quickly. So we had a limit of a 3-man limit yesterday morning using one chicken rig and 2 single lines, and we were done in less than an hour. And that was including going back on the spots. I'm sorry, not less than an hour. It was an hour and a half. We were done. And I was moving on to the next fish. That's how quickly we racked them up. Okay, that was a 2-hook chicken rig, and we were fishing two separate rods. That's how fast we were on them. And we were catching big ones. We were looking for big fish, okay? We do that by using one hook, okay, on a really long leader. Now, if there's a lot of sharks around, guys, or you're fishing highly pressured areas that have lots of cudas on them, what happens is that when you're fishing main wrecks that have a lot that everybody knows about, that gets sharky really quick, okay? Now, there's going to be a lot of fish there, but you don't want to draw a lot of attention to those fish. And when you're dropping down a 3-hook chicken rig and you've got 3 vermilion snappers banging all over it, that's a lot of vibration in the water, and you become a target for sharks. Bottom line. Okay, so today we had shark problems. What did we do? We went to single hook, single line rigs, and we tore them up. So we went through the spot. We both of us got railed by sharks, and I was like, drop the chicken rigs, and I went with one line, and we spread out. We were fishing out of the Sea Hunter day, so we could, so we just went with one line apiece, one rod. And we got our limit. And they were all 16, 18-inch vermilion snappers. I think we had a couple 15 inches, 14-inch fish today, but maybe 1 or 2. And we were throwing back the small ones. We were being very selective, so we were venting and doing all that other good stuff and then sending them back because we were being picky today. So we were looking for big ones, and we do that by using one line with the standard mutton snapper rig. I use the mutton crusher. My mutton crusher, you guys, it's no secret. You can go into my store and you can buy the course and use that as a rig. You do that rig that I have in there. Very rarely do you spin up. The hook sets are awesome. It's just a great rig. So, and I hear a lot of guys talking about, you'll go through and you'll what hook size do you use for vermilion snappers on chicken rigs? Chicken rigs are a bitch, man, to catch vermilion snappers on. Let's face it. But the single hook rig, that's lethal. I just, we put that line out there, 50 foot, and the way that I have that mutton crusher rigged, it just sets the hook on the fish on its own, and it's done. There is no worrying about spinning the fish off. I mean, the fish, it's just a super easy way to catch vermilions without even thinking about it. So what I do is I let a guy run the chicken rig just because, and then I set out 2 long lines, and I'm like, okay, bring in the vermilions. They go, what do you mean? They're not there. And I go, trust me, they're there. So, and we just bring them in, and they're hooked. So one line. It sets them easy. The fish gets hooked. He gets hooked properly. Whereas when you're dealing with the chicken rig, they're just a pain in the ass to hook fish with. So I don't like them personally. I'd rather just use one at a time. We catch more because you're dealing less with a bunch of bullshit with your weights all over the floor. And having to rebait 10 hooks, and you're spending more time rebaiting hooks than you are getting lines in the water. And then you got to rebait all your hooks. You got to get in the position, and then your leader will tangle. And you guys know what I'm talking about, man. They're a pain in the ass. And then the hook will get caught on the side. So, but, I use them. And then, like yesterday when we were yellow eye fishing, we are going through the yellow eyes, and they weren't touching the chicken rig. They weren't even touching it. All those yellow eyes were eating a single hook, 50-foot leader. That was it. And we caught some big ones yesterday, some monster yellow eyes. And then mixed in with those yellow eyes, we were catching muttons on that rig too. So my bait yesterday, we had some pilchards, and I was like, yeah, we caught a few. But my bait yesterday, so what I was doing, I was just cutting off the squid head, and then I would put the squid on first on the number 5 Gamakatsu, and then I would top it off with a little bit of bonito chunk or goggle eye meat. That was it. So I called it we call it squid roll up. So that's what I call that bait. So, and sometimes I'll wrap that bait on there with some bait wrap string to keep that bait on there. Sometime I'll tell you the story about these dudes I fished with on the hump years ago and that bait string, but not today. And also too, guys, by using those long leaders, that's insurance. What if those fish don't eat? What if those fish don't get hooked up on your chicken rigs? So then you're already past the spot, but you got insurance rigs out there, I call them, and you're going to pass through right behind them. So those insurance rigs are really good, man, and they hook the fish without even you doing anything. You just basically set your dragon loose and strike and let the fish eat it, and then he hooks himself. The way that the mutton crusher rig is set up, it sets up to set the hook on its own. And for all you guys using electric reels for vermi fishing, you spin them off, man. Get yourself a Talica 16, a Talica 12, a Speedmaster. We're using the Speedmasters for Speedmaster 12s and 16s for vermi fishing. And then you got to have the right rod. I use the 3080. It's custom built by Adrenaline Fishing Rods. It's extremely light. It has a flex tip. It's a spiral wrap rod, which is perfect for deep water applications. It's an awesome vermi and mutton snapper rod. We're catching everything on it. Today we caught a monster amberjack on this light setup on using 30-pound line on a vermi rig. Number 5 Gamakatsu hook. That hook was bent the fuck out though. Holy cow! But we got the fish. And so when you do hook a big fish on a small rod like that, the trick is, especially if you're using a 2-speed reel, number 1, don't hammer the drag on that fish. You got to fight the fish in light drag. So we let the fish run on light drag, and we let him wear out, and then we just simply put the reel once the fish wore out, and then we put the reel into low speed and we just cranked it up. So like I said, the old saying goes, the harder you fight something, the more it's going to bite back, man. So if you do hook a big amberjack on light tackle, you need to back off the drag and then use your thumb as your drag pressure. Okay, so it takes a little bit of practice for you guys that are just beginning, but you can use your thumb to apply a certain amount of drag to when he's barreling on you, and when you got him whooped, because typically what happens is that he'll make one last run when he sees the daylight, sees the boat, and then if he's not hammering down on you, then he's whooped. Then you just gotta lift him up with that light rod, so it feels like you're bringing up a big log from the deep or a big piece of coral that you caught and ripped off the bottom, and then you just fight him in low drag, man. Fight him in the second speed and bring him up nice and easy. That's what we did today, and it was the fight was awesome in the beginning. The way he ripped the drag was cool, and then we let him run out, and then got up on him, and then put the reel in the second gear, fought him on low drag, applied the pressure on the spool with our thumbs when I needed to, and then kicked his butt and then lifted up dead weight. And came up, spun him up, and then he went to the smoker today. So, but, okay, sum it up on vermi fishing. I recommend you use long leader your mutton setups, and you want to, like I said, if you use the mutton setup that I use, you're going to catch them, and you go and then add just a little bit of squid and a little bit of bonito chunk on there. Light line. Today we used 30 and 40 pound. We had the most bites on 30 pound, and we caught every one of them. We just left the rod in the rod holder, and then when we came over the vermi spot, I go, there he is. And he just bedded a little bit, and then he got hooked with the mutton. The mutton crusher hooked him. So that's all I got for today, guys. Make sure that you check out my tackle store. It's goodkarmafishingtackle.com. I've got all my courses in there. I really appreciate the guys that have bought the courses, and I'm getting some awesome emails from the guys that are using the chum ball mix, saying how they're catching their personal best, and the dudes that have bought the, I shouldn't say dudes because the female anglers are buying them as well, the mutton crusher rig. So, and then all the other miscellaneous stuff I got. I got a bait strip course in there on how I rigged the bait strip. I got lots of cool stuff that I'm going to be sharing in the courses, as well as in the podcast here in the future. Download the app, the Good Karma Sport Fishing app, and you can find it in the iTunes Store and the Google Play Store. Check out my website, www.goodkarmasportfishing.com, and remember to follow me on Instagram at goodkarmasportfishing_FL_keys. That's it. And remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good. And leave the small fish for the boat behind you. Yes.